We haven't had one in a while. There's a lot going on here at Immunify, and yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to be popping up soon. There's a lot of cool things that we're working on behind the scenes. I think, as usual, again, like welcome. Um, I see a few familiar faces. I see some new faces. Um, so cool. So yeah, so again, like I said, welcome. We got a nice group here today. So appreciate you guys hopping on. So I guess to kick things off as usual, that we normally kick things off with is kind of some of the if you guys run across any cool exploits or fixes or things that you've come across. I actually found one. Funny enough, I think it was a few days ago, but I thought it was hilarious. So this was supposedly a $1 million exploit for a what do you call it? A protocol called Zeed. Essentially, the attacker exploited a vulnerability on the protocol, and it allowed them to essentially mint extra tokens. Um, and then once those tokens were minted, they were sold and then essentially crashed the price to zero. The funny thing though is that he took the stolen crypto or the funds and put it into an attack contract, but then executed a self-destruct on the attack contract and then left it there and forgot to actually cash it out. So he essentially gained and lost $1 million worth of stolen crypto. So he wasn't able to move it. So I thought that was actually kind of funny. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bye bye. So kind of funny how I think he got ahead of himself in that particular exploit. So just kind of funny how that worked out. Maybe that was karma, working his magic there. But actually kind of, interesting there. I think one of the other big ones that I definitely ran across was what was it? The Axie Infinity with their Ronin bridge hack. That one was pretty big. I know that was earlier this month. I believe that was to a tune of about 650 million. That was a big one too. At least I kept my eye on in terms of what was happening there. Um, and so that was an interesting one. That was pretty big. I think they're doing some sort of reimbursement. I'm not sure how that's actually done. I'm actually not in that ecosystem. It's just something that I read about. But there was a security breach. Excuse me, a security breach there. So that was an interesting one. I haven't looked too deep into it, but it seemed to be fairly extensive. Um, and so it resulted in the Ronin Bridge essentially being closed. So I think they're trying to figure out what their next steps are in that aspect. Ball, this event, I'm assuming this hacker hangout. Um, yeah, so Pepin just got back to you there. And then one of the last interesting parts that I saw was this was actually I saw this earlier today. So if you guys are familiar with Certic, which is one of the bigger auditors in the space, they actually raised $60 million, and it was led by SoftBank. So for those of you that aren't familiar with SoftBank, they are pretty much involved in many things. So it kind of shows to you that pretty much shows that essentially Web3 security is essential in this space. It's growing. There's money always flowing into it. As you can see with some of the bounties that are coming across, it's been normal. Funny enough, it used to be um, where $1 million was a nice level to be had, but it seems as if $1 million is kind of the normal these days. So I'm seeing them more and more pop. I'm seeing that valuation pop up more and more often as I do these launches for you guys. Um, interesting. So Mohammed, you think that it's a convenient excuse. So we'd love to get your thoughts on it. If $1 becomes the low reward, I don't think $1 will be the low reward. We've gotten some good. We've got some good bounties that are coming up for you guys. $1 million. I thought you said $1. Yeah, nice typo there. So if $1 was the lowest, then you know, I don't think like you guys would be in this business here. But yeah, $1 million seems to be the norm, or at least in the tune of things that are in the six-figure range. Um, so which is a good thing for you guys. It's a good thing, and it shows how serious security is becoming within the space. And so yeah. In terms of this being available, Pepin usually does record these and then puts them up. So if you guys are against or not too keen on being recorded, then again, like most of it's just on event channel anyways. I think I'm the only one being recorded, me and my sultry voice here. Uh let's see. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um so yes, thank you, thank you. So yeah, so if there's any other exploits, I think those are kind of the bigger ones that I've came across. Again, like the one with Zed, I thought was hilarious. I read it and I had to laugh. And the fact that he thought he was going to get away and actually left the funds in the contract before executing a self-destruct. That's probably one of my favorite ones that I ran across. But yeah, I mean, like anything again, like you guys, like hey, as usual, like floor is always yours. This is your time. If you guys are just getting started, want some, point in the right direction for resources, things you want to learn about Immunify. Yeah, he must have been too excited. He definitely jumped the gun there. If you guys are looking for any resources, want to know where to start, have any questions in terms of strategy, process, mindset, feel free to come in. Hey, Ethereum limit. I mean, look, like here, the bug bounties are open. You check out the bug bounty channel. You don't even need to look for a job. You can essentially work for yourself here. Um, so you can check that out. All right, maybe I shouldn't do that. I'll just link the new bug bounties channel. Essentially is there. So you essentially, I mean, feel free to network too. There's a lot of guys that are on here that also work for some auditing companies that have their own organizations. Cool thing too, a little bit of alpha for you guys that are sitting on this call is in probably a few weeks I'll announce it, but it will be in May. We'll have a nice little hacker hangout with one of the larger auditing companies. So you could definitely go and pick their brains about it. We're just ironing out the details, but it'll be pretty cool. Prerequisites to start working as a bug bounty. I mean, pretty good starting point here. I mean, like obviously a development background is probably a plus for my non-technical brain. This is probably not going to work out for me, but for most of you guys that are much smarter than I am, yeah, in terms of just having a technical background and not necessarily what I noticed too, in terms of my insight is it's not necessarily like the smartest and like the top tier guys that work at, for example, like Open Zeppelin or Trail of Bits or one of the top auditing companies. I also noticed that it's sometimes also like students or people that are in college or people that are in high school that are doing these bug bounties. And what's cool about it is they have a really good understanding of the flow or the logic that goes behind the code. So it's really understanding the environment, what the code is actually doing versus like what the documentation tells you that it's doing. So in terms of a prerequisite, it's kind of just it's really open ended. I've seen guys that have their start in Web3 and have only done, blockchain based coding. I've seen guys that go from Web2 into Web3 and learned it that way, albeit a little bit of a longer path. But in terms of prerequisites, fairly open ended. Would love to have people hop in the chat and just throw in, some of the things that help them, get their start as a bug bounty hunter. How could I get the Immunify hoodie? Look, man, Morph, I don't even have one yet. So if I'm waiting, you're still waiting as well. um, yeah, get a critical essentially, or at least like a high paying critical would probably be the fast track to that. Apparently being on the team is not good enough to get a hoodie. I guess the street cred's not there for me. Um, Any good analysis tools people can recommend for the Algorand slash Teal language? If you guys want to throw that in there, that would be awesome. How important is it that a bounty hunter be able to simulate an exploit? Actually, that's fairly important. Most of the bug bounties require a POC, a proof of concept, at least for critical and high vulnerabilities. I would say 99.9% of the time it requires some sort of POC plus a solution, or at least like collaborating with the team to come together for a solution. That's usually what the normal MO is. Um, yeah, usually you'll have to show how things go wrong. If for, I mean, I would say most of the time a POC is necessary. In terms of just pointing out the flaw, sometimes it's just necessary for example, like a website or an application, like if it was like a wallet app. But if you go into like any of the bug bounties, the exploits are labeled. So for example, it'll show you the reward. So say it would say for a critical smart contract vulnerability, uh, your reward is say like $200,000, but and then there's a label on the right side that says POC required. I can let me see if I can put a. It'll be. Let me see if I can put a screenshot of it. Yeah, something like this. So I just tagged you in it. It'll be something like this. Like all of them are labeled on the in the bug bounty page. That's true, Mojave. You're right. You don't really have to be super technical, but you're right in the fact that like again like goes back to my point in saying that you don't have to be the best coder or programmer on the planet. You just have to understand the logic and the flow of the code and what it's actually asking, or what actions are actually it's being asked to do. So you're 100% right. Um, Hoodie 2.0 is in the works, Ivan. Well, I haven't even got a 1.0 yet. Microphone is suppressed. Uh, yeah, yeah, that's true. Best advice for someone shifting from Web 2 to Web 3 bug bounty. I think one of the best ways to really get started is, I would say again, like trying to immerse yourself in this whole Web3 ecosystem. There's more than enough resources to really get started. From my understanding, it's competitive, but it's still not as competitive as Web two. At least from my perspective, you guys might differ, but the way that I look at it, it seems as if Web three, there's only like a small handful of really good or really active bug bounty hunters that are consistently finding vulnerabilities, versus Web 2, where it seems more commonplace, where anybody and everybody that has some sort of baseline programming or development background is able to just hop into most of any application to look for any criticals or vulnerabilities. Plus the fact that in Web3, the rewards are significantly larger. You're looking at like what was it? You're looking at like $10,000, for example, like a $10,000 in Web 2 as a reward for a 0 day, versus in Web 3, maybe a 0 day can net you six figures or even up to a million, million plus. It just depends. Um, everybody needs a hoodie, Ivan. So we need to, get on that. Oh, nice. There you go. So if Isaiah is looking to become a pro Web3 bug bounty hunter. So follow him on Twitter. Hey, network with him. And Isaiah, feel free to ask questions. And it seems to be, yeah, so ask questions, flex some of your knowledge, and meet some awesome people. I think the Immunify community has been one of the coolest communities that I've been a part of. Every time I get a chance to interact with you guys, especially with these hacker hangouts, I know you guys miss me the past few weeks, and it's always a blast to hang out with you guys, learn a little bit more, and just get a chance to even have a conversation with you guys. Let's see what we got. Oh, I guess are do you guys have an issue? I see as if people are having issues list or hearing me. Do you guys have an issue? Is there any sound issues, or is it all good on our end? Okay, no issues. Okay, cool. So I guess maybe some of you are having issues, but if it persists or something happens, let me know. See, we got. Hmm, the leads. That's funny. The lead security engineer at Cardano is burned out. I have my thoughts on Cardano, but probably not the time and place to put that in. Do we have the link to the 150 exploits reported that ETH Foundation mentioned in the conference where Mitchell was? I'm not sure. I'd have to take a look into that. Maybe I'll ping Mitchell if any of you guys have that. Oh, there it is. Looks like there's a link by engineer. Appreciate you throwing that link in there. Links to repo. That's a very good point. So Sleepy put in a good answer to Heidegger's question, which is there a step by step when analyzing a program with many contracts like MakerDAO? There's no single way, but trying to create a checklist. So Sleepy wrote, you just need to deeply understand what the code is doing and let your instincts guide you. I think that's a great point, because every time someone tries to create a step-by-step process, it's changing. Think about the whole system is very dynamic. The whole ecosystem is very dynamic. So it's always changing. So one process might work for a little bit, but it always changes as the code evolves, as the ecosystem evolves, as, for example, new EIPs are released, things like that. Even hackers or being more creative in how or in exploiting vulnerabilities. So I've seen some interesting, more creative vulnerabilities being thrown out there. Uh, let's see. Um, yeah, Isaiah, I think historical exploits is a great strategy in terms of um, figuring out how some of these exploits are being done. And a good thing too is, like, if you follow this will be a shameless plug, but if you follow the Immunify blog, there's a lot of postmortems in there. So that might be a good start. There's also the postmortems channel here, under or it used to be here. But anyways, maybe it's bug fix reviews. Is that what it is? Well, there used to be a postmortems channel. I don't know where that went. But yeah, so like if you follow us on the blog, and also on Twitter, we do post a few postmortems, whether they be Immunify or Twitter is sometimes Immunify related, sometimes not. But on the blog itself, we do have a lot of postmortems there, and so it goes back. We've done a lot of analysis there in terms of breaking them down, what the solutions were, and why why it ended up being a critical or a critical vulnerability. Um, any ideas on how to choose which bug bounties to pursue? Not really, honestly. You just really just get started. I mean, everybody always looks at the number. For example, like they look at the max bounty, which for example could be 1 million, 6 million. What was one of the other ones, like 3 million or 10 million? I think 10 million is the max. But yeah, don't necessarily look at the max bounty, because again, like finding a critical is like very difficult. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. Um, but even if it's asking for example, 1 million for a max bounty, you can also take a step down and look for high vulnerabilities, or even mediums, because they could be, for example, I've seen high vulnerabilities at like six figures, 100,000, 200,000 for a high, and then their max is 1 million, 2 million, and then even a medium is a good like 50, 60K. So you don't necessarily need to go for to the top tier. Obviously, if you find a critical, congratulations, like it'll be difficult, but you earn the top reward. But again, like don't neglect looking at high or medium vulnerabilities as well, because the payouts for some of those are actually pretty good. Uh, Exploits of three line stuff. Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't even have to be like a full snippet of code. Sometimes like an exploit could just be sometimes maybe a misspelling, or something very simple like 3 lines or even less, or they just forgot a command, things like that. Um, let's see what else. Yeah, pretty much choose the bug bounty that you like. Again, like there's kind of different ways to go about it. There's some guys that you know take a look at smart contracts for fun. Just take a look at it, see if they find anything weird on first glance, before actually taking a deeper dive. Some people actually really take the first shot and really run through the contract with a microscope. So either or, both work as well. Anybody have experience balancing bounties with their full time job? That's actually an interesting question. That's actually pretty good. I do know, a few people that go to school and also balance finding bug bounties, or do bug bounty hunting. There's a few people that also work in some of these bigger auditing companies and also do bug bounty hunting. There's also people that have like they do application development and then do smart contract bug bounties on their backend as well. So there's definitely people, Isaiah, that are in this community that do balance bug hunting with a full time gig, when bug hunting is not their full time gig. I think one of the what interesting one too, is if you guys are familiar with Alex Schlindwein. So he's one of the bigger names in this space. Has his own company and just does bug bounty hunting for fun. So he's found some fairly large exploits. And again, like it's not even his full time gig. Ethernaut is a good start for those bug hunting strategies. Oh, perfect! Thank you for that link, engineer. I'm behind, so let me catch up. Ooh, the Dark Forest. Yeah. That's even the article, the Dark Forest article is actually pretty good as well. I'm a 10th grade student. How can I start as a hacker? So again, this is a good so Khalid the Great, this is a good start here. To even, get involved here. Again, ask questions. in the Discord, everybody's you're always going to get an answer. There's more than enough resources to get started. Again, like it depends on where you want to start. There's multiple ecosystems now that you're looking at, not even just Ethereum. It's branched off into multiple layer ones that I've seen. Um, Congrats on White Hat Scholar. Yeah, congrats, guys. Uh, Growing that group there. Um, the job bounties versus social life trilemma. Pick two. That's interesting. It's usually three. And then it's never all three. I wonder if anybody has been able to do all three. Um, in
Hello, hello,
today's
can you hear me?
Yo, what's up? Hey, thanks for hopping on. I can hear you.
Hey, sorry, I cut you off like that. I apologize for that.
Oh,
How's
come
my
on.
sound? Can
Oh,
you...
you're welcome. You're welcome to. You're always welcome to. Stage is yours.
Okay, so okay, great. I'm just addressing, about, this whole idea of, doing the bug bounty and then doing, whatever is it, that you're doing, whether you work or you have your own company or, you just play games all day. I mean, in my opinion, what I've seen is like for me personally, I'm technically not a developer, right? I'm more of a researcher, and then I was doing some, I was trying to run a company. I did I did a startup, and then along the line, there was some political issues where I live, sort of, put me in a bind. But my point is that if what you're doing is related to development, then I agree with you. Yes, definitely you can sort of shift into bug hunting, because bug hunting is technically just another type of development with a different mindset. But then if somebody is doing something completely different, for example, if you're a surgeon or if you're a baker, and then if you want to if you like to do bug hunting, for example, which is investigating code, then it's going to be very difficult. And the other point, which me personally, which I think about, and which I hear people who talk about, is that, oh, how do I get into bug hunting or hacking? I mean, if the I mean, you need to know some tech. I mean, there is no way out of it. And it's not that you need to be really good. I disagree when there's some sort of gatekeeping. They say, oh, no, you need to be a developer, you need to know this how to write logic. I disagree with that. I'm saying that if you have the interest and you can dedicate some time, then definitely it will be possible. Of course, it might sound like big talk from me since I haven't actually found a critical yet, but these are just my thoughts. Okay, I didn't want to take over the stage. Thanks a lot. This is my thoughts. If anybody wants to argue, hop on. Let's fight.
No, I think that's interesting. No, I love to hear again, like I said, what I say is just my thoughts. They don't reflect Immunify or even like the general space of the white hats as a whole. Again, it's just my observations. Like I'm probably not as deep into it as you guys. I'm again, so like in terms of like being able to go navigate the space, that's why I I give it to you guys. So like again, it's my observation. So like, hey, I love to hear conflicting thoughts. It's awesome because it's not necessarily a bad thing because it makes you think. So that's what I like about it. So I appreciate you just hopping on and um you know giving us your thoughts because I think you have some valid points there. So cool. So I'll keep on going. So CKK wrote, "Do you know if there are any plans at Immunify to help researchers in the EU finding projects that aren't fully anon, like a new filter or something?" That's interesting. I would have to bring that up with product to see what the deal is there. Um, but let's see. I read an article. Um, Running through. You guys are killing it on the chat already today. Um, see, networking and Web3 and blockchain. Well, I mean, hey, you're already here. pretty much everybody here is either looking either found an exploit, or at least has labeled themselves a bug bounty hunter, or a white hat hacker. So you're pretty much here, in the right spot. Um, who's the most important guy in the space that you say that does it for fun? I mean, two big ones that I know of, is Alex Schlindwein and also Sam CZ. He's been doing it for fun now. I know he puts together some capture the flag events, but he hasn't done one in a while. But he usually does a lot of this for fun as well. Let's see. And we did have Sam on as in, in one of our earlier hacker hangouts. Um, and you can also add Daniel VF to that list as well. Let's see. Oh yeah, exactly. That's a good one. The Carl Farderson video is actually pretty good. Let me see what else. Yeah, definitely all opinions are welcome. So you guys, don't worry too much about it. One cool thing too, for you guys here, is also this. I know we haven't been doing it for a little bit, but I'll add it in here. Which will be, so since today is Earth Day, so today, Friday, April 22nd, is Earth Day, or is dubbed Earth. I don't know if that's even worldwide, or if that's just a US thing, to give us, more virtue. But we do have an awesome POAP on the courtesy of Louvre. So I will throw the QR in there. If I'm stuck with writing a POC, can anyone help me from Immunify team? Yeah, if you want to message either Jonah or Adrian, I can tag them here. Jonah. See, those are probably be the two that could probably help you guys out, help you out with that, in terms of being stuck writing a POC, or actually maybe not. I was thinking about writing as in actually writing. I think you might be like, or maybe Adrian is probably the best person to actually talk to here, in terms of putting together a POC. But a POAP is there. All the homies hate JS. That's funny. And then if you guys are having issues with the QR, I'll send you some links. I just have to get them wherever they are. All right, I got the. If you guys need a link, just shoot me a DM. I'll throw a link in the chat, or in the DM. So if you want a link for a POAP, for a POAP, just shoot me a DM. Can you make a living out of a bug bounty platform like HackerOne, or is it better to work for an employer? Uh, Hold on. Let me add you. All right. So honestly, like HackerOne, I know HackerOne has some Web3 projects on there. Immunify, to be frank, and that's not even just to do our own self plug, does have some of the largest Web3 bug bounties available. So if you're looking to make a living out of bug bounty platforms, I'm sorry, bug bounty hunting, I would say Immunify is probably your best bet. Or you're probably, yeah, your best bet. HackerOne, I don't remember, but I remember the last time I was looking at it, some of their most of their X or rewards didn't go over 50K. They might have changed it. I haven't looked at it in quite a while. Or is it better to work for an employer? It depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for more of your own freedom, and again, it kind of goes into the talk of being an employee versus an entrepreneur. So, it's really up to you on that standpoint. But I think in terms of making a living off of bug bounties, I would say Immunify will probably be your best bet to start off with. And that's not even just because we have definitely have the bigger rewards in Web3. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. If you find a critical on Immunify, you're pretty much set for a long time, for a good amount of time. Find one of those like 1 million, 6 million, 3 million ones, and you're pretty much good to go. But pretty much, but again, like I said, don't neglect the high vulnerabilities, uh, or even the mediums because those are actually pretty good payouts too. You can find like two or three six-figure uh, high vulnerabilities, and you're still in a good spot. Even the same with some mediums. You find like a handful of those, and you've actually had a nice payday for the year. Yeah, $10 million. Work me into that one as well. Um, let's see. Yeah, I think there's a 20 million. I think that 20 million one is MakerDAO is the I think that's the largest one if I'm not mistaken, but let me take a look. Um, let's sort by high to low. No, well, no, I'm sorry, not 20 million, it's 10 million. So there's two $10 million bounties that are up, Wormhole and MakerDAO. The next one down is Aurora at 6 million, GMX at 5, Olympus at 3,333,333, Astroport at 3. So there's a good amount of 1 million. There's a good amount of $1 million and up bounties. 1 million again seems to be I wouldn't say the floor, but seems to be much more common now. um, yeah, yeah, you're right, Sleepy. Maker's 10 million. I was wrong. Yeah, so again, like it's if you go into I'll send the link, but this pretty much sorts it out by reward. But if you go there, hit that link, it shows you all the different bounties that are available, but also shows it to you by reward. There's a few $2 million ones. 2 million seems to be getting more common as well. But 1 million to 2 million seems to be much more common. It used to be, a few months back, it used to be just like, oh, like 1 million used to be the hot thing, but now it seems to be the floor and what's expected. Or at least like 500,000 and up seems to be that way as well. Uh, yeah, I'll send the links shortly. So if chain security is bit, yeah. Ha, sleepy. You pretty much uh you pretty much ruined my surprise for the May hacker hangout. Thanks a lot. So alpha is that since it's already out there, so hacker hangout is going to be the one of the hacker hangouts in May will be with chain security, which would be awesome. So you heard it here first. Here's the alpha. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. What was this question? Is each bug bounty listed for one specific bug, or are they listed to find any number of bugs? Oh, it's listed for any number of bugs. So there's nothing specific. So what ends up happening is a bug bounty gets listed on the Immunify page, and usually it comes with a list of smart contracts or assets in scope. Sometimes also the website and the application. Um, and then it's really up to the team in or the project to determine the, I guess, severity of these bugs that are being found. And so if there's one bug and someone finds it, no, the bounty's not over. So usually the bounty is always ongoing unless the project decides to shut down the bug bounty program. So even if like a critical is being found, there might be another critical that's lurking that wasn't found, so it's continuous. So for example, like two people can essentially earn a $1 million bounty if both of them are deemed critical by the team. Um, can you mention some examples of the high and medium bugs that have been reported and the payouts that have been received? So in this case, most of the ones that are being published are mainly criticals. I guess Pepin, if you have any insight here, uh, throw that in the chat. But for most of the things that are being published, it's mostly critical bugs that are being written about in terms of postmortems. Um, yeah, some of them do have closing dates, Mohammed. Some of them do have closing dates. I know, like some of them, like for example, I think Dora Hacks did it just in the span of Eat Denver because they were doing a platform launch there. Um, yeah, so to go back to CKK, you're not CK. Pangolin, to go back to your question, most of those high and medium bugs, they're they usually remain not really hidden, but not like undisclosed. Just because like they're really small and sometimes small and insignificant. So usually, and again, it's not really like big press. So for example, like what was the last hold on the bug bite that was it I'm trying to find out here. Yeah, so like for example, like the Nexus Mutual paid like 200K to a white hat. That has a little bit more newsworthiness, so it actually ends up being better to write about than someone that gets paid like 50K or 20K. Although it's still newsworthy, but again, usually those like high and mediums remain undisclosed. But yeah, again, like if I find any, I'll throw them your way. Uh, Hey Ezra, yeah. So Immunify has its platform of its own. Definitely sign up, check it out. Again, follow us on Twitter. You join. I mean, you're already in this Discord, but also like if you want, or I would recommend signing up to our mailing list as well. Because the bug bounties get sent out via email as well. So just in case you're not always checking the Discord. I know I was spamming everybody yesterday just because we had 5 launches in a row yesterday. So you can check that out. I think definitely one of them was a pretty big launch. See, how can companies afford to pay such high bounties? Suppose many people do find critical bounties. Do companies have some sort of reserve set aside? So end up what happening here is usually when you take a look at the scope of things, usually some of these DeFi protocols have hundreds of $1 million in TVL. And so it kind of goes, you're kind of just weighing it at this point where it's like, do we lose like $200 million in TVL, or do we just pay a white hat like $1 million for as a reward for finding the critical? So usually they have these, I guess you can call them war chests available, or at least like some of most of the funds available for this. So usually they'll keep that in mind. If there's multiple critical bounties, that's a different story. whether or not they can afford or don't afford them. But most of the ones that offer higher bounties usually have a large war chest to back it up. So just in case there's like one, two, or three critical bounties that are being found, they're able to pay them out. Again, like it's not necessary that they run $1 million bounty. It's really up within the budget of the project. So as you've seen ones as low as like 10K, 20K, 40K, 50K. It's not as if to say it's not a legit project, but it's also like, what can they afford to reward the white hacker with? It'd probably be worse off in terms of optics and PR if, for example, you find a critical and they're saying they can pay out 500,000, and then they're like, sorry, we can only afford 50K. It's kind of a little, you're pretty much getting rugged at that point. Um, and so yeah, so companies do have a reserve definitely set aside. What is the better approach from experience? Check the code or trying out the app to check for bugs? Um, so here's again, like here's from my perspective. I guess like everybody can feel free to chime in terms of your process. But usually when people run through this, the documentation is the last thing that they check. But most of the time they do check the code because the code sometimes tells a different story from what the documentation is actually saying. Um, so they'll check the code. You could try out the app. I don't think that really will do so much for you because, like, again, that's more on the front end side versus like to get these vulnerabilities, you want to take a look into the back end for a little bit more, for much more detail and depth into what's actually happening. Should we hold on to any medium bugs to chain it in the future with potential in the future to make it critical, or is it unethical to do so? That is a really good question. Um, that's a really good question. 1 second. That's a really good question. Honestly, like in a more ethical way, I would say to report the medium bugs as soon as possible because again, like Yash, you might not be the first. You might not be the only person that finds it, so maybe someone will claim the medium before you and report it. So then you end up losing your reward there. So sometimes it actually helps to be first in this case. But again, I can't really comment on that. I would say usually if you find a bug, I would report it immediately. So you can secure the reward versus like maybe losing it out to another white hat. In terms of ethics, I guess that's kind of something that you have to weigh upon yourself. Is it made public when we find a bug successfully, or you can remain anonymous, Fulo Dev? There's plenty of white hats that have found that have found criticals, or even high or medium vulnerabilities, and have remained anonymous. There's steps once you submit and claim a reward that you can go through to just remain anonymous. Yeah, again, like working with Immunify, we can take care of all of that, so you'll be good. Um, Code never lies. Yep, that's pretty much it. That was one of the first things that I learned when I started working with Immunify was when I spoke to a few of the white hat scholars. The main thing that they told me was don't look at the documentation. That's pretty much for marketing, which is funny enough because I'm on the marketing side. And the documentation never tells the correct story because the code is always dynamic, it's always changing, and the documentation is not as updated as frequently as the code is. But yeah, Mohammed's right. It is kind of a little bit of a race. So if you do find any vulnerabilities, ethically and probably for speed wise in terms of getting rewards, it's probably best to report it. Uh, Categorize projects on Immunify by what language the smart contract. Yes. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of alpha there. That is something that we are working on in terms of categorization. So that is something that's being currently worked on. So yeah, so when that comes in, hopefully hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later. Um, there's always a lot to learn, Ezra. Always a lot to learn. Yeah, I would agree there too. Is like I don't think just looking at code is everything. I mean, there has to be a combination of everything as well. So that's good advice. Again, like what I say is just from my perspective. But everybody is always free to voice their opinion and chime in the chat or hop on the stage and let me know that I'm wrong. Or if you have a different idea, I'm not gonna ask you to fight me, but if you have a good a differing opinion, feel free to voice it. Um, someday can we make a meeting doing hacking of smart contracts live? Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Let's see if we can get that to happen. From an NDA perspective, yes. But also, if the code is open source, then I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that. Probably, yeah, something already reported and disclosed, possibly yes. But live hacks are kind of hard just because it takes a little bit of time. So it could take an hour, it could take 2 hours, could take 20 minutes. So the timing's just kind of open there. Is there an Etherscan type website that tracks all bugs found? Not all bugs, but one that I found. Uh, let me see if I can find it. Is let me see here. Is wrecked. I don't know if anybody posted it, so me. Oops, kind of getting lost here. Here. So Robin, check that out. That's probably the closest to a leaderboard. Um, let's see. Web 2 bugs are legit. Yeah, DDoB is a good tool. Those guys are pretty good. I had Giannis on, I think during the last one or the one before that. Uh, let's see what else. Why are the website and application bug bounties so low if they expose some critical vulnerabilities? Just because for usually the website and application, it's the front end. It's usually the front facing aspect of the platform. So it's not as if to say exploits don't happen there. They do, in terms of like phishing attempts or you know other things that go on. Um, but it's honestly it's really up to the projects. The projects usually dictate um, the rewards that are going out to white hats. So they deemed it as lower on the priority list than the smart contracts. Um, so that's kind of just on them, really. But yeah, Sleepy's right. Smart contracts do have more direct financial risk. Not as if to say the front ends don't, because again, like I said, sometimes they do. But again, like it depends. Yeah, I know. Hard to keep up. Let's see. Yes, DDoS founder is a professor. Funny enough, the co-founder of DDoB, Neville, was originally a student of Giannis's, and then they ended up starting to collaborate on some projects, and they started DDoB together. So that's kind of the story back there. Um, Gosh, I'm getting lost myself, and I'm trying to answer everybody's question. Um, let's see. Ooh, so Hashalai, this is actually a pretty good list. Damn, that's pretty solid. I'm gonna add that to. This is a good. This is a really good. Let's see what else. That's interesting. If you guys want to answer this, so the question from Pangolin is, how long do you spend going through the code of a project? Daily, weekly? I think it depends. Again, like in my perspective, what I've seen is usually there's an initial browse of the code if a project is interesting or if a project is new. There's usually some sort of initial browse period. How long that takes, I guess, depends on how many lines of code there is. And then from that point on, if there's something that's interesting or something that catches their attention, like there's a deeper dive into it. So how long that takes, again, it depends on how many lines of code are in question. Uh, see. Oh, that's a good one too. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Certic founders are also academics as a baseline. That's correct as well. Um, a uh, yeah, it's some good feedback. How do you track down hacks, by the way? That's interesting. Please have some more examples of found bugs for us to learn from. I've read some of your guys' Medium blogs. They're helpful for learning. Also, some of the blogs when I tried to, or maybe bugs, when I try to run them as described in the blog, I can't get them to work. So maybe someone at Immunify can help or try to make the examples run without any issues. That's interesting. Maybe there might be, Ivan, if you're on here and you're listening to me, there might be a opportunity here to do maybe some video tutorials instead of just written. I know written is easier because you get the visual of the code in the exploit, but maybe it might be helpful to get some sort of like a video tutorial or content in terms of, like, for example, setting up test environments and getting an exploit to run on a test environment. I think that'd be cool for some of the guys that are just starting in the space. Daniel's plugged into everything. So yeah, so okay, cool. I'm finally caught up with the chat. I'm 5 minutes late to all the questions that are coming on. Again, also, if you guys want the POAP uh QR, it's right here. Run the Fade protocol. Okay, cool. So I'll see if we can put together some sort of video content that you guys can follow along. I think that'll be pretty interesting for guys that are running into this. Sleepy man, I feel like that this is a common theme every time you hop onto one of these hacker hangouts. We need to change that. But if I can start, if you guys want a link instead, just start DMing me and I'll shoot you over a link. I can start sending some of them out now. Uh, yep. So now, yep, I can send out links. Just shoot me a DM. I'll get you one over. And if it doesn't work, just let me know. I'll give you the next one. There you go. Hate doing it manually, but sometimes that is how we got to do it. Yep. So it's a cool little graphic by Louvre. So, thank you to Lou for putting this together for us. You can. Again, like I said, if the link doesn't work, just send me a note. All right, cool. Awesome, Ivan. Yeah, so Ivan, yeah, we get some really good suggestions in here. Let's see. What else? What else? What else? What else? Ooh, there's some interesting conversation going on in there. So I will keep responding to requests for pull-up. For pull-ups. How common is it that people find bugs at all? It's hard to tell how realistic it would be to do this as a profession. Okay, so Myriad Doc, as someone that has some insight on the back end, it's actually fairly common to find bugs. Criticals less so. I've seen more on the high. I see more volume on the high and medium side of things. Than anything else. Sometimes a low pops in here and there. I would say probably more volume in terms of like high, medium, and lows, but more on the high and medium side. Criticals are there. They're just again like it's really up to the team's discretion on whether or not they deem it critical or a high. But it does actually happen fairly frequently in terms of bugs being submitted. So it is fairly realistic. It's just being able to again like being first in the space is definitely something that you need to keep in mind. Let's see. Or you can always turn into an auditor. Yeah, you could do that too. Yeah, CKK is right. The space is big and it's expanding fast. So it's actually becoming very common. Again, like I said, if you want to be first, again, shameless plug, follow us on Twitter. Even the Discord, the new Bug Bounties channel or section here, or even subscribe to our email list. You'll get all the notifications when new Bug Bounties come out. So when something new pops up, you could essentially just start working on it immediately. And usually, since I do most of the launches, if you do I would say the Discord new Bug Bounty channel is the best one because as soon as things are posted, there's really no delay, or even the Telegram group as well, or the Telegram. I think it's just an announcements channel. The Telegram announcements channel is probably is again like Telegram announcements, or the Discord here is probably the best way to get notified in terms of bug bounties that come out immediately. Yep, Mohammed, I'll get you in a second. Auditing is something that takes a lot to come with some point. Okay, so I'll send out a few more links. Yo. Again, if the link doesn't work, just let me know. I'll send you a different one. And then I'll throw the QR in. I'll throw the QR into the chat again in a minute. Yes, sir. So I'll throw the QR for the. It's actually a cool one. Let me see if I can get a. Let me see if there's the preview. I'll pull a preview for you guys. It's a nice one to have in your POAP collection. So just a preview of the POAP. Where is it? Maybe that one. So courtesy of Louvre. I'll tag her here if you want to thank her. Whoa. So yeah, let's see. It's a good conversation happening in the event channel. Again, event channel for those of you that are here. Just also throwing our social links for those of you guys that are new. For Immunify, I'll remove the previews if there's previews, but basically our blog as well as our Twitter. You can essentially find the most up-to-date things. If you want to sign up to our mailing list, it'll be at the bottom of immunify.com. Another link, you got it. Let me know if that works. Okay. Wave there. Yes, sir. I got you. Again, if you try to claim using the QR code and it doesn't work, just DM me for a link. Oh, who tried to jump onto the stage? I did not see. If you want to hop on, if you want to hop on stage, feel free to hop on. Dr. G, I don't think Sleepy would hop on stage. I've been asking him for weeks already. I keep getting rejected. It makes me sad. I don't do well with rejection. Cool. So I guess I'll stick around for a little bit. The chat is already lively. Seems as if you guys are running there without me, which is awesome to see. So I'll stick around for a little bit. Keep the stage open for a little bit longer. And yeah, so again, always appreciate you guys hopping on. It's always fun to hang out with you guys. And that's really a genuine statement for me. Can someone skip web hacking and jump on Web3 smart contract hacking? Yeah, I've seen it done. I've seen people that just, Dr. G, I've seen people go learn Solidity straight out of the box and maybe put together a few dApps on their own, or applications on their own, and then just hop into bug bounty smart contract hacking. So I've definitely seen it done before. Yeah. Is middle school too early? No, heck no, Dr. G. You can get early, you can start as early as possible. Middle school. Again, I've seen there's a few high schoolers that actually have submitted some I think it was medium vulnerabilities the last time I checked. It was either medium or highs. So definitely not. Yeah. Get those kids started early. What would you say the average zero to capable hunter time would be? That is interesting. I don't know. I mean, I guess like define average zero, meaning like no technical ability and no idea of Web3. Is that what you're asking? Or like not even knowing about Web3? Oh, Mick, you shouldn't feel old. I was talking with Giannis from D Dob, and he says he feels old. He's one of the elder statesmen here in the space. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time, so he says he feels old, yet he's in a space that's super young, so got you, Lord Apollo, got you. I mean, if you have experience in cybersecurity, I'm sure it's a good foundation for something. So, because it depends on how much time you have in terms of deep diving into or getting your hands dirty with Web3. So like it could be something as a few days, could be a week, could be a few months. It just depends on time allocation, really. Yeah, Sleepy's right. It's not age, it's time. It really is. I mean, that's with really most things that you start out learning, right? Whether it be blockchain hacking or I don't know, learning how to learning a new skill, like for example, like learning the guitar or something. It's not really how old you are, it's if you have the time to actually if you have the time to actually put in the time to learn and get good at it. I think Lord of Paul, I think you'd be fine. I would say like for 1 to 2 days a week with your background, I would, I would always say I'm laughing at Sleepy's next comment. I would probably say you could probably, you know, start taking a look at smart contracts, honestly, since you said you're fairly, in tune with what's happening with Web3. I would start taking a look at some smart contracts in the on the Immunify website and just see what you could do with them. Again, like I said, you don't have to go after the big bangers at like a million or 500K. You could start small with like something that's like 10K or 20K or even like 50K and see what you find. So yeah, so I would say like just take a look and see what you find out. Sleepy is only here because of COVID lockdown. I think that's why we were all originally here, right? Uh, oh, that's awesome, Pepin. That's a good story. Yep, that is the spirit. It's really more about, as Sleepy said, it's less about age and more about the time you put in. So not everybody is willing to wake up at 7, go to sleep at 5 a.m., or do those late nights or early mornings. But if you can put the time in, then it'll and you really try to get good at, the skill and trying to achieve your goal, you'll definitely get there. Yeah, Ethereum Lemon, we're pretty much chilling right now. Uh, you know what's funny, Pangolin? I noticed like even some of the bigger, uh, more renowned, like for example, like when I had a conversation with Sam CZ, he doesn't even think himself as an expert. He always feels like there's always something to learn. So he doesn't really have a noob mentality. He's more of like his mentality is more of I don't know everything, but I'm willing to. Like, he always has the spirit of trying to learn as much as he can and learn everything. So it's so I think that's interesting too that you bring that up. So usually he doesn't say he knows everything or he's the best or he's an expert. He usually he doesn't give himself that mantle. It's usually other people that give him that mantle. But he does come to the table with a I don't know everything, but but I'm willing to put my skills to the test kind of mindset. Yeah, that's true. But the thing too is like you know nothing. Well, I think the best way to learn something is also to be able to teach it. If you can teach it effectively and communicate it effectively, then it's safe to say that you know the information pretty well. Yeah, Daniel is a good resource. Appreciate you always being here. Feels like I always have backup when you're around. Oh gosh. Yeah, from the man that's yeah. He has that, you know. Yeah, Sam is one of those guys. He, but actually, like, it's not all bugs, and I think Daniel can attest to this too. Is it's not all bugs that sometimes uh catch like that take so fast to find. Again, like, it's also his experience. He's looked at smart contracts, a ton of smart contracts, so things that don't seem off, he can pick them out fairly easily. So cool. So I know we're just chilling now. Yeah. So Sam is in this Discord somewhere. I don't know where he is. I'm not gonna search for him, but he is in this Discord. I'm sure you could send him a DM. Maybe he'll respond if he has time. So yeah, so I'll probably close out this stage since most of the Chaz hang is happening in the event channel. Yeah, I think Sam's DMs are closed. But I sent them maybe because I added him, or he added me as a friend when we were first coordinating the first one. So um, yeah, he gets a lot of spam on Twitter, anyways. But yeah, I guess I'll close out the stage here, and we'll just continue the. Is that how you're gonna get them? To click to get your free NFT? That's how you get them. Um, yeah, so I'll close out the stage for now since most of the conversation is happening in the chat, and we can continue it there. Also appreciate you all coming by. This is definitely one of our bigger ones with the bigger audience. Love to see you guys out here. Again, I'll post out the POAP stuff. Again, if you need a link, send me a DM, but I'll post that in the chat. Thanks so much, and see you guys in the next one. And we got some bigger hangouts that are coming soon, so keep an eye out for it. Sleepy, broke the alpha on the last one, but it's all good. Now you guys know what's coming up.